Hello, Messies, and welcome back to another episode of Becoming is Messy. Today's conversation is an invitation to explore what happens when you stop trying to fit into what makes sense to everybody else and start embracing what feels true to you. This episode connects to our level up competency. Let your inner voice lead, because your inner voice doesn't always follow logic, but learning to trust it can change everything. I'm so excited to join my friend Kim Lengling, an author, podcast host, and creative spirit who brings a beautifully unique perspective to the world. Kim is the host of Let Fear Bounce podcast, which I had the privilege of joining her for an episode a few weeks ago, which I've heard is going to be live April 29th. So you'll have to check out her podcast and that conversation. On her podcast, she creates a space for real conversation, storytelling, and connection. She's also a writer, anthology coordinator, community volunteer, and someone, by her own description, who listens to shadows and talks with animals. When she's walking, but whether she's walking with her office manager, Dexter, crocheting, reading, or spending time in her community, Kim embodies a way of being that is unapologetically her own. Kim, welcome to Becoming is Messy.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this because we had fun on my show a few days back. So yeah, I've been looking forward to this, to reconnecting again.
Yay, me too. Well, help us set the stage and let our listeners know a little bit about this current season that you're in.
Current season. Wow. I'm on the far side of 50 and, you find yourself there and you're going, how did I get here? And then you're like, I'm so thankful that I made it here.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of reminiscing lately, and a lot of memories have been like coming at me from all these different places because there's a lot of big life things happening within my family and my veteran family and friends. It just seems like as you age, it seems like life the happenings get bigger and you find more meaning in the little things, like we should have been doing all along.
Yes. Yes, that's so true.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at. I've been writing like song lyrics. That's nothing I normally do, but I've been writing song lyrics because I got these little tunes in my head about memories and looking back and paying attention to the small things and those people that came into our lives for a very specific reason or for a very specific season. Those that hurt us, those that taught us, those that loved us, all of those things. I've been so immersed in that lately, and how memories come and you carry them with you. And it's either a paragraph, a page, or a chapter of your life, and flipping those pages and the breeze that it causes. I don't know. Am I rambling right now?
No, I'm loving this. No, you're actually taking us to so many places I want to dig in further. But before we go down that rabbit hole, help us just walk us backwards a little bit. Every journey has a bit of a messy twists and turns that get us here. So just share a little bit about what your backstory is and some of those twists and turns for your own journey.
Story. Wow. What a journey, huh? What a journey we have all traversed.
Yes.
Grew up in a single parent home. My mom worked her tail off to raise 3 of us. And it was tough going, but we didn't realize that as kids. Looking back, I'm like, oh, we were really poor.
Yeah.
You don't realize that. But I did realize that my mom worked hard. And when I was 13, I got my first job. It was a paper route, so if I wanted that new pair of Reeboks, because that's what was big back in the day, wanted that new pair of bright white Reeboks, I had to earn the money to get them because mom didn't have the extras for all of that. If I wanted a pair of Levi's for, to wear the first day of the new school year, I had to work over the summer to earn the money to get those Levi's. It never was a negative in my brain. It was just like, oh, well, I got to see who I can babysit this summer, to make me. And I look back on that now and realized just how instrumental that was in how I do things now. Being frugal with money. I'm really driven, to get things done. Pull up my big girl pants and just go. Just do it. I'm not going to sit around and wait for anybody else to do something for me. You know what I mean? So that in the early years, that's I've been looking back back,
Yes. Yeah.
and I see how that was like the building blocks of what I did, and how I became. But through high school, I was a jock. I played in every sports I could. We won championships. We won state championships. I mean, it was just like I lived in a teeny tiny rural town, small town USA. And that's what you did, sports.
Yep.
And so that's what I did. And I graduated, and a month later I went into the military, and that was a whole nother season and a whole nother shaping of me and how I view the world. Because that changed me tremendously. Experienced a good bit of trauma. Came out the other end of that, not the same person at all. I had lost the way to view those little things in awe and wonder, because everything was gray now. Trust no one, always looking around, and I became kind of bitter and angry and didn't like humanity. And that lasted quite a while. I mean, I came home, I got married, had my beautiful daughter, who is now married and on her own and has a baby. I'm a grandma now. So, I mean, it all worked out, but inside, down deep, was, I forgot about the young one who always stuck up for the underdog, who thought a dewdrop on a flower in the morning was probably one of the most amazing things to see. To grab a crawfish out of the creek and bring it home and be like, look at what I found. I mean, all those things that used to make me go, oh, wow. It felt like I lost that, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so it was a while. It was a while, about 15 years.
Wow. The way you've set that up, I'm so excited to hear how you got back to this season of the little things, and you got that all back in your heart, because the way you described that feeling of gray and the disconnect from humanity, it's just language that right now I'm hearing from so many people that are feeling that way across all age groups. I don't think that any single demographic is the only one feeling that way. And so how about we just start with that? What do you think was some of the beats that helped you get out of that gray season and brought you to getting that all back within you?
There are two very specific things that happened that now looking back, I can see was what shifted. The first shift was my veteran post, that most of the guys are combat Vietnam vets. So they're a good 20 years older than me. And the majority of them live with PTSD. And they carry other things with them from their time. I mean, they were boots on ground in the thick of it, veterans. And they noticed something shifting in me. I probably did notice it, but I just didn't care, because I hated the world. But I was losing weight. I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't eat. I was having nightmares constantly. Losing weight to the point where it was concerning. People were like, Kim, you're not looking great, and I'd be like, leave me alone, I'm fine. It was that. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand it. Let's put it that way. I was just plowing through each day, and the guys, there's a couple of them, they somehow cornered me and said, hey, kid, we don't know what's going on, but we recognize symptoms that you're showing. And if you don't go get help, we're going to drag you kicking and screaming. And I replied to them in not nice words that I won't use right now, that leave me alone. I'm fine. F you.
Yep.
I'm fine. back off. And they said, no, we're not going to,
Wow.
we're not going to
I have goosebumps.
We're not
Oh,
going to.
beautiful friends.
Yeah.
Wow. That is love in human
Yes.
form.
And they're like, you're not falling on our watch. It's just not happening. I'm like, I'm not going to kill myself. I don't, what, just leave me alone. Because I never had that thought to not live anymore. That was never even a thought. And I'm thankful for that. And I never turned to drinking or drugs or anything like that. I just sunk into a dark hole, and everything was gray. And they said, no, you're not sinking on our watch. And they literally did take me to see a counselor at the VA, half and half against my will. We'll put it that way.
Oh,
and I look back on that, and I have since thanked them, because they're still a huge part of my life.
no.
I have since thanked them for being who they are and seeing what they saw when I couldn't. And so I did go to counseling for quite a while. I looking back now, I had to, because you can only stuff stuff down for so long. It will explode out when other things are happening in your life. That's going to come out. And that's actually what happened. The second big shift was, it was years later. I was in my mid-30s by then, the second shift, and found myself on my knees on my living room floor. There was big life-altering things happening. I was going through a divorce. My grandmother had just passed away. A very dear person to me, a very dear friend, had taken their own life. And that was all within 3 months. And it was so much. And I found myself not sleeping again, having nightmares again about stuff that I thought I had dealt with, and losing weight again and couldn't eat again. And I was like, oh, and I thought I was going crazy. I literally thought I was going crazy. And that's actually where I came to my faith. That second shift is when my faith stepped in, because I told myself I didn't believe in God or any of that, because where's he been? That was my attitude. And that shifted that day that I was on my knees, because I had this whisper, but those who hope in the Lord. And I'm like, well, that sounds pretty Bible-ish. And why am I hearing voices? And oh my gosh, I am going crazy now. And I heard it 2 more times. And I'm like, it sounds so Bible-ish. I'd never read a Bible, and I didn't go to church. So, but I'm like, I know there's a Bible in this house. I am positive that when I got married back in the day, somebody gave us one as a gift. So I frantically went digging for that Bible and found it. I was literally frantic. It was just, and I came back down to the living room, and I'm trying to find something, those words. And I'm like, how do you find anything in this bleep, bleep book? And I just threw it down on my floor. It was a hardwood floor, and it slid away from me, like flapped open and slid away. And because I threw it from me in anger, which, looking back now, I'm like, oh. But I was, that was the third time is when I heard, but those who hope in the Lord. And I'm going, I literally did this. I turned around and looked behind me. I'm going, I literally am losing my mind.
Yes.
And then when I turned back around, and I'm still crying, like snot down my face crying, I reached forward and grabbed the Bible from where it had slid away from me, and I picked it up, and because it had flipped open, I looked down, and the very first words that jumped off the page were, but those who hope in the Lord will soar on wings like eagles, will run and not grow weary, will walk and not faint. And I went, and it was all of a sudden I had like this huge breath, and I was covered in the most peaceful feeling I have ever felt before or since. And I read through the whole verse. It's Isaiah. And I read through the whole verse, and I just sat there and went, oh, I'm not crazy. And I started going to church. I went to church angry. I'd walk in angry and I'd leave angry. And I did that for weeks, but I kept going.
Yes, right. That's incredible.
I know. I look back and I chuckle, because I shared that with the pastor. He's since retired, but I shared it with him. I'm like, I kept coming thinking, oh, this guy is such an idiot. But then I next Sunday.
Wow.
And he just thought that was the greatest. He's like, he goes, I reeled you in.
Yes, right. Just like your friends, you're like your veterans, right? Standing by you.
That's
where God was not going to let you bow out this time.
Yeah, because it was this second time around, feeling myself sinking, it felt heavier.
Yes, yes. And I
And I
think that
think,
you
I
described
fought harder because I knew what it was like to be there.
that's what I was gonna say. I think that like a word that's really been coming to me lately is noticing. And I think that as we walk this life, if we stay open to curiosity and noticing ourselves, we start seeing patterns. Our lives are all patterns, and we start recognizing them. And I just think your example is just a really beautiful testament to the power of friendship, the power of faith, but also the power of noticing and that inner resolve that
Right.
this time around, when you saw the signs, when you saw those symptoms of losing weight and that gray coming back in, this time around you acted sooner, and went inward to get the answers for yourself, and that came in the form of a voice from God. And
Yeah.
so I think that it reminds me, you and I, in our conversation previously when I joined you for your show, we had a great conversation about the words that we use to define our spiritual experience, our religious experience. And our listeners know that I don't consider myself much of a religious person. I was raised Catholic. I did go to Sunday school for many years and very much knew the Bible back then. But eventually, as my path twisted and turned, that religion language just didn't speak to me anymore. And I ended up discovering spiritual practices, and I end up calling God the universe. And so when I have that inner whisper inside, sometimes I describe it as my own knowing. Sometimes I describe it as the universe speaking to me. But at the end of the day, I feel very deeply that we're explaining the same experience, and how we define it and the words we use, in my opinion, just don't matter to anybody but us. Our words matter to us. But then I just wanted our listeners to be able to connect with whatever words and
Right.
experiences matter to you.
And that was
From-
such a cool
right.
conversation when we
Right.
both realized we actually have a different way of looking at it, but we had so much of the same thoughts and even feelings
Yes.
about the majority of it.
Yes,
So
yes.
there was no reason for us to debate with each other on it.
No, we're agreeing, and I think that that's just so important in this moment in time, because I do think that lots of the things we're talking about today, I feel like it is very relevant in our world right now. Religious divide, we have a war at the moment. There is a ceasefire, but I feel like there is conflict across the world, and not to go down that whole path, but I just want to call attention to the fact that we have a lot of divisiveness. And I love these moments where we can come together and share our stories and see our different language, but recognize the humanity that's at the heart of it.
Right.
And the shared experience, because it's much more common than we often give it credit for. So
We are much more alike than people. And I don't care what
Yeah.
color your skin is, what your
Yeah, yeah.
ethnicity is. We are so much more alike
yeah,
than people take the time, because they're so pulled. Everybody is pulled or sucked into
yep,
all these different things. And I've often used the word sheeple.
yes. Oh, it's so true.
I will never be one.
Same.
I've never been one, even from when I was a young kid. I've never been one to blindly follow anyone.
Hmm.
And I don't think that's healthy if you blindly follow.
Yep.
Do your research, look into yourself. What's your gut telling you? What's your heart
Yes.
telling you?
So important.
What's God telling you, or whatever it is that you believe,
Yes.
because we're all smarter than what we give ourselves credit for.
Mhm.
We've let the world tell us that we're not,
Yep.
but don't listen to the world.
That's such a good. I know. I think we grow up being taught to listen to the world. I think that we're
Right.
taught all these systems and infrastructures that we're told are for our better good.
Right.
And
And this is how we've always done it. So you should
Yes.
this way.
Yes.
This is how we always think. So you should be thinking, no.
Yes.
And I've
No,
always against the grain. I've always went against the grain.
good. I think we need that now. I feel like that message right now, I think, because there's so many people in that gray space, and I think it's because they've been in that sheeple space. So let's go against the green.
Yeah, don't fight who you are, or
don't fight who you are.
what your
Yes.
heart and gut tells you.
Yes.
You know, when it was when the pandemic hit, that's like the world completely changed. It not only closed, but it changed. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people changed their outlook on how they see the world at that time too. I think so much changed in the
Yeah.
last 6 years
Definitely.
with people and
Mhm.
their mindsets and how they view things. And I don't think people are as quiet as they used to be,
Yeah.
and I think that's a good thing,
Me too.
because they're noticing. Back to that
They're
word.
noticing. They're noticing.
They're noticing,
Yes. Yeah.
and so now that your eyes are open and you can notice a lot of the world type things, be sure you don't pass by those little things that make up your personal life.
Yes. That's huge.
Don't rush by because you got that next meeting to go to or that next presentation to give, or that next shift you have to do at the hospital or at Sheets, wherever it is that you work.
Yeah.
If you're working outside the home, try and notice, hey, on your way to work, if you're walking to work, you commute, you ride the subway, whatever, smile at a stranger. Write a little note and hand it to a stranger. Just, have a great day. You know what I
It's the
mean?
best. Yes.
Yeah, be
Making others feel good. Yeah.
a nugget of hope in this dark world, this
Yeah.
world that
Oh,
feels dark right now.
yep.
Let's be those little tiny beacons of light. Why not?
Yeah. Oh my
Doesn't
gosh.
cost you.
You have so many little nuggets of wisdom. I'm loving this. I love it. And one of your phrases that I love is the that you listen to shadows and talk with animals. So talk a little bit about what do you mean when you say that in those words, listening to shadows and talking with animals.
I was having a really bad night one night, like nightmares. And it was the middle of winter, and the wind outside was howling, like that kind of winter night, the dark, cold, windy night. I mean, it was like kind of like what you would read in a book. And I felt drawn to go outside. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I always called that the middle of the nighters. I'm like, I had another middle of the nighter, 3 o'clock, and I'm wide awake because I can't sleep because I had nightmares. I'm all sweaty and shaky and, um, and I felt called to go stand on my deck. I live out in the country. So when I got on my deck, it's just woods and a field, you know, and the moon was really high and bright that night. The wind was howling, and I'm standing on my deck and I'm looking at the snow covered backyard, and the shadows from all the trees were swaying in and out
Mm-hmm.
I was fascinated by the shadows, the way they were dancing and moving. And for a fleeting moment, they were all very evil looking. I mean, like that kind,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
scary nightmare kind.
Yep.
And I'm standing there watching this and just watching, the shadows play. And that's when I said, no, not today. Not today. All of you dark shadows, you can just go back to the edge of the yard and dance nicely. This is literally what I was saying.
Yes, that's great.
I'm like, get back to the edge of the yard and dance nicely. I'm not letting you in. The ones that don't want to be nice, no. Go back to the edge of the yard and just dance nicely. And I stood there, and this was so wild. I just there, and I'm like willing them away. I was
Yeah.
I was in that mindset.
Mhm.
I'm like,
Yep.
I am not letting shadows tick me off.
Yeah, I know it.
So I was talking to him,
Yeah.
and eventually the moon shifted in the sky. I have no idea how long I stood out there, but the moon, of course, moved.
Mhm.
And those shadows eventually went to the edge of the yard and danced nicely like they should.
Aw, what a
And I just stood
story.
there, and then I realized I'm really cold. And but that was one of those. I'm not. I know I'm not the only person who's had nights like
No.
that.
No, 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 and what I love about that is whether it's night or morning, whatever time of day, I think any given moment, we have a choice. I think that we have, you know, kind of lost that sometimes, feeling like the world is happening to us and the shadows are happening to us. And in any given moment, we are invited to choose to be scared or to be excited or to feel awe or to feel joy. We get to decide how we feel in that moment. And in my opinion, that's what you did there. It so reminded me, I had a night like that one time. First night sleeping in this house, I thought I know I had my very first time, my only time ever experiencing a ghost. I was in my room late at night, going to sleep the very first time in a brand new house, a house, just me in the house. My daughter was at her dad's house. And all of a sudden, I'm wide awake. And on the ceiling was this white, looked like an angel almost, like a cloud across my ceiling. And it was talking like, wah, 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 wah. Like I couldn't understand it, but it was
Brown's mom.
yeah, and that's what I always say. Yes, we have some young listeners not always get that reference, but that sometimes I'll say Charlie Brown's mom, and that's exactly what it sounded like. And I just sat up there looking at it, and my first feeling was scared. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a ghost here, and then I just started talking to it, and that brought me peace. I said, hello, I come in peace. We can share this room tonight if we have to, I mean you no harm. And I just had a conversation with it. And I eventually, dozed off sitting. I feel like leaning up against my headboard because I couldn't tuck myself in. I was so kind of stuck with this ghost. And, but it did. I got through the night, and I eventually had a friend use a sage and some kind of crystal. And we gently asked the ghost to leave, and never saw it again after those next few days. But very much, I think a lot of people would have gone, that would have turned into a nightmare. That would have turned into leaving the room,
right,
running, not standing your ground.
I probably would have did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, there are times, and I recognize this about myself, especially with the nightmares when I used to have them. I'd wake up and I'm like, armor up, Kim.
Yep.
Yep. That's how I say it, armor up. So when the D-Man and his little minions come out with their poison arrows, they're going to ping right off of me.
Yes. Yeah.
They're going to bounce. Right. That's how I came up with the name of my.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you next. Look at that. You're getting that gut feel. I was going to say, let us talk about let fear bounce, because that's another phrase of yours that I love. So
yeah, that's one I've used for years, because I didn't say fear, but I always just say I'm letting that bounce. That's not landing on me.
It's good.
Or, someone comes at me with negativity or negative energy and they're just in my face. I'm like, I'm sorry. This is all about you. I'm not letting any of what you're spewing out at me land on me. Mm-hmm. That's all there is to it. It's bouncing, and then I'm going to bounce too, and then I leave.
That's good.
But you have to have boundaries, and I've found that since I turned 50, which was a few days ago.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Few years ago.
Gosh, I see. You and I are friendly. I feel like we all my friends' birthdays are like, I feel my closest friends are the last couple of weeks. We have Aries and Taurus are very strong in my.
I'm actually Aquarius. I'm February.
Oh, February. I thought you said recently. Yes, yeah. So Aquarius.
Being sarcastic.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Being sarcastic because I didn't. It's been a few years since I turned 50.
Oh, yeah.
Got it. It was, mid-February.
Yes.
But yes, I'm a water bearer.
Yes. Okay, good.
No, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, we're talking about you bouncing. Yes, I know. Yes. The bouncing. You bounce. No, you have fear sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bring up and letting it bounce. So that's something I've been saying for
you have boundaries. You are talking about boundaries that you have.
Yeah, you got to set certain boundaries to keep your peace. And I've learned, again, since I've turned 50 8 years ago, that I will protect my peace. No matter what.
Yeah.
And I feel that I've earned that. Mm-hmm. I can do that because it's okay.
Yes.
And people don't have to agree with me. They don't have to like my boundaries, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Not everybody's in your life for your whole life.
It's true.
Chapter, paragraph, chapter, seasons, however you want to look at it. But letting the fear bounce, there was a time 6 years ago when, the world shut down and there was just fear everywhere because the world was putting it there. They were feeding fear to us. They were feeding fear. That's how I look at it, it's my opinion. And it was on, the radio, the newspapers, the media. You can't do this. You can't breathe here. You've got to cover your face. You can't stand this close. You can't do this. You've got to do this. And I'm thinking, no, no. All you're doing is feeding. You're trying to shove fear down people's throats. And there was a lot of people very afraid. And I was like standing in the crowd, me going, let it bounce.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh, no, because this will happen. I'm like, no one's proven that will happen. Let it bounce. And this was just me because my mom was scared. My aunt, there's a lot of senior citizens that I knew were terrified. We can't leave the house. I mean, they became recluses. And I'm like, this is not healthy. This is unhealthier than what they're saying. So it was, now I'm not putting I know a lot of people got very, very sick. I do know that.
Of course.
I'm not playing any of that down. It's just the way that it was fed at us as you must hear this. That's not healthy, and that's not how it should have been done.
No.
My opinion.
My opinion as well. I think we can have precaution at times when needed.
Well, of course.
But I do think that so much of what we're talking about, the quote unquote leaders of our quote unquote free world, I think the leaders haven't done this work. I think they don't hold peace within themselves. They don't love themselves.
Well, that's a different realm. That's a power, ego, money realm.
Exactly. So they don't go exactly. We live with power within and power for, not power over. And I feel like, and that's the shift. And so I think that when you're trying to listen to power over type people that are coming from ego, it's that fear that they're projecting is not an invitation that I'm going to accept. And I think it's recognizing, and again, back to noticing.
Right.
I can't control all the leaders of the world, but I can control that piece within me and recognize when they're speaking from a place of fear and not just follow that blindly.
Right. Don't be a sheeple, people.
Don't be a sheeple. We're going to come back to that a lot. I think that's a huge one. I mean, I just think the way you're describing so many things that you're saying in the structure of how you live your life, whether it's creating your boundaries, I think these phrases that you come up with, words are so important. I think a lot of times we don't give the weight to the words that we use in a way that they deserve. And the more purposeful you are for those little phrases that mean something to you. I was at a women's gathering this week and we talked about the littlest moments deserve ceremonial words. The moment to give gratitude to your morning coffee. To be able to use those mantras to keep yourself calm. Whatever works for you.
And there's always something. I mean, I say let it bounce all the time. I say nugget of hope all the time.
Yeah.
I say, why can't you be that bright light? These are things I've been saying for years now. And I don't know if I heard them somewhere or maybe I just came up with them in my own head during, my thought process. But a lot of times I'll write them on sticky notes, like neon colored. And they're above I know you all can't see it, but they're on my wall above my computer.
Great.
So as soon as I sit down in my office at my computer, I will sit there and reread them because sometimes they hit me a totally different way than what they did when I first wrote it down and put it up on the wall, And then sometimes I'll pull one down because it's like, that doesn't fit anymore. But then a new one comes and I'll put that up, or a phrase that someone shared with me that has helped them.
Yep.
And I'll put that up because I'm like, that's very helpful to me right now in this moment. So I'll be like, oh, let me write that down.
Yes.
The words are very powerful. And I also feel, you probably do too, speaking them out loud gives it power.
Mm-hmm.
You can think them and you can think them and dream them and hum them and sing them and whatever. But I have to say out loud, I am letting this bounce today.
That's right. That's good. Yeah, exactly.
Like, to me in my brain, and this is me and my faith coming into play.
Yeah.
I'm grabbing a broom and I'm sweeping the devil out the back door.
Yeah, I like it.
Unwittingly, I opened up the back door and said, come on in today. Yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute, what did I do that for? Broom him out.
I love it. Next time you're doing I love the phrase, not today, Satan. Not today, Satan. I think that's such a good one. I have a t-shirt that says that. I think that is just such a good one.
And I think everybody needs to say it every day.
Yes,
Or some
exactly.
form of it.
Some form of it. That's what it is. It's all of these things. Like, just what are those little words and phrases to for me, it's what so my words are peace and freedom. And in any I used to view peace and freedom as something I wanted to attain someday. Like that was like my end goal,
Yeah.
and it just in this season is finally when I've reached a place when I realized that I get to choose that in any given moment. And so every moment I feel truly both of those words deeply, but that requires me to have those boundaries, to use those phrases sometimes to get myself back there because
Right.
certainly I'm not perfect and I am affected by the world just like everybody else and things pull me out of that, but to bring myself back to that space, these are exactly the techniques that I use.
To recognize that you need to pull yourself out. I've done that too. I'll be watching something on TV and I'm like, I just let myself get pulled into that.
Yep, same.
Because I feel, I feel myself getting angry. And I'm like, I should not be angry in my own house.
No,
This is
same.
my safe spot here, man.
Yeah.
I've built it how I want it. I'm surrounded by the things that I want and that I love that bring me peace or joy or whatever. Yeah. And you mentioned your words, freedom and peace. Mine are hope and contentment.
I love that.
You know?
Yes. Yes.
For a long time, I was like, I just hope I can be content someday.
Yes, it's true.
And I remember having
Yes,
that
someday. Yes.
and I'm, like you, I've reached that, which is lovely. And some days, because again, I'm not perfect. There's not a single person who is.
Yeah.
I have those days where I'm like, oh, I'm not even liking myself today.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kim, get the dog, go for a walk. Get outside. As my grandma used to say, get outside and blow the stink off you.
Yes, so
know?
true. Yep. Exactly. And you get to control that. I think that I just keep coming back to that. Like what you're describing is you're not waiting for something else outside of you to fix that for you. You're proactive, even when you're feeling like crap, and
Yeah.
even when you're down on yourself. It's up to you to figure out to get yourself out of that. And
That's the time you have to work harder.
that you work hard, I mean, to me, or sometimes it's an ease. Like, I mean, for me, nature is huge, going for a walk. Water is huge in my life. I just taking a bath or just taking a quick shower just to get some water flowing, just closing my eyes for 5 minutes and just breathing. I mean, it doesn't have to be massive.
Yeah. As soon as you said close your eyes,
Yes.
isn't it amazing how certain words bring pictures to your head, at least for me?
Definitely.
As soon as you said, if I just close my eyes, in the summertime, I will sit outside. It'll be like one of those hot, humid summer days. And where I live, it gets humid. And all you can hear is like the cicadas. How do you pronounce that? The cicadas.
Oh, yeah.
They're up there yelling in the trees and you hear crickets, chirping and you have all those summertime sounds, those hot summer day sounds. Have you ever put on like really soft music like Enya?
Yes.
Or who's the guy? He's a pianist. Oh, why can't I remember his name? But my daughter always used to laugh at me. She's like, please don't listen to him anymore. I'm so sick of it. I can't remember. Yanni.
Oh, yes, Yanni. Yep.
So those two were my go-to to sit out there. And their music goes perfect with one of those hot summer. Just thinking about it now, I can feel like
me too.
I can feel like the sweaty mugginess on my arms and a soft breeze going by going, this feels so good. And just being, just sinking into it and just being.
Yes. It's incredible. And you just describing it, for me, it was just a wash of calm. Just thinking of those two types of music was a wash of calm for me.
Yeah.
And
you know what else does it for me sometimes is opera.
Yeah.
By the three tenors. Like
yes.
John Pavarotti.
Yes, those three. I know you're talking Andrea Bocelli. Pavarotti. Yes. So good.
But every once in a while, I'll put that on and it's just, I don't even understand the words because it's in Italian.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a feeling. It's a feeling.
Just this feeling. And I'm like, they have such a talent to bring all of that out of me and I have no idea what they're saying.
Yes.
I'm just in awe. I'm in awe of that kind of talent that just, whether it's a book or a song that just pulls you in. And I always say, wow, I just sunk into that.
Yes. Oh, it's the best. Like what you're describing. So the word awe, it's so funny. My Jersey accent sometimes, it makes that word kind of wonky, but I feel like that feeling of awe, that is my proactive word when I'm out of peace and freedom. So if I'm out of peace and freedom, then I seek out actions that I can take to give me that feeling of awe, because that is such a cataclysmic. It just like it shifts. It helps kind of transmute what you're feeling, and so that I love instrumental music. My favorite lately has been going to like cover. It's like famous songs, but they're covers and they're done in Spanish guitar, and I'll just sit outside and listen to it, and it just brings me to that place. So again, I think everything we're saying is like find what works for you,
Right.
but know that you get to decide. You get to choose to get yourself back into these places. And so figure out what works for you to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
And I know there's probably, you got listeners that are, probably in the corporate world, or they work and they're like, I don't have
Yeah.
time for that. I don't have time to sit and close my eyes and listen to music.
Yeah.
And I understand that because I was one of those people.
Of course. Me too.
I was a mom and running around and working full time and working 2 jobs for a couple years even, to keep the roof over my head. And
Yep.
you felt like you didn't have time. And I think a lot of times I didn't find the time. But as I aged, I was like, even if it's just for 20 minutes in your car at lunchtime,
Yes. Yes.
close
Yep.
your eyes, set an
Agree.
alarm on your watch or your phone, whatever, close your eyes, put on some music, and just close your eyes. Just
Yes.
be,
Yep. I agree.
or I don't know. I'm not a city person. I've never lived in a city. I honestly can't even fathom living in a city. It would be too much for me. But for those that live there and they have that different mindset, because you do, people in the city, they view the world completely different than I do, I think.
Mhm.
Find a green spot.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if not, create one. So maybe you live in a studio apartment in New York City. I don't know. And you're not close to a park that you can walk to or take a subway to. Build a corner of plants in your house.
Yeah.
Put a few plants in your window. Grab your kitchen chair and just sit there. Let the sun through the window hit you and look at your plants and listen to music. Be around something green, nature inspired. I don't know. I'm always trying to think
Yeah.
of things because not everybody lives in the country like I do.
Yes.
And so I was
That's
trying to
true.
think, well, what if I lived in an apartment? What would I do then? I really truly try to think that. And I'm like, well, I would probably make sure I had a lot of plants.
Let's go like a little deeper for those that are maybe even in a harder spot.
Yeah.
So plant, I think, what we're saying is a nice start. But for those folks that are truly disconnected from themselves, who don't even know their inner voice anymore, and only hear that inner critic just constantly berating them. Yeah, any thoughts on how to get back to, or for some, hear it for the first time? Some people really, whether it's chronic trauma in their background or for whatever life circumstances, a lot of people only know their inner critic. And so, how do you take some steps to get in touch with that part of you?
I started volunteering.
Mm.
And I started giving my time elsewhere as I was able to. Because again, it was my veteran family that noticed the things in me. But find something that you can do that's outside of what you regularly do. Surround yourself with positive people.
Mm.
And if you want to learn something, find someone who's smarter at it than you are.
Yeah.
Because we are all our own worst critic.
Yes.
I have
Yep.
been guilty, and I'll probably still be guilty of it. It's like, who's going to want to read what I wrote?
Mhm.
Kim, you suck. You don't know how to do that. Why are you even trying? I mean, you have those things.
Yeah.
It's like, or why didn't that work out? That's because you're dumb. You have that silly conversation in your head. Find people. I don't know. And this is just me. I'm no counselor. I'm not licensed in any of that. I just talk about what I went through and how I learned.
Yep.
And so I surrounded myself unknowingly. I think I did it unconsciously. Surrounded myself with people that had been there, done that too. I mean, there's some people going through some really hard things. There are some people that live in really hard situations and households. So none of what we're saying, we're not trying to be light about any of it for those that are sitting in a really, really tough spot. But there is a bright light somewhere.
Yep.
I might not know where it is specifically for you. Only you know that.
Yep.
You know, it's a tough one. I mean, that's hard because I can't relate with everyone.
No.
You know,
but the themes you're sharing.
I try to be empathetic to it.
Yes, I think your empathy and your authenticity shines through. And to me, I saw a research study recently that said that authenticity is our highest frequency. And so just being your truest self. And so the practices that we're talking about help, I think, get there. So just sharing your story and the things that have worked for you. I very much believe that those listening, somebody that'll be a little spark for just to leave a planted seed to come up with an idea for themselves that does that same thing. So thank you for that. We're going to shift now to our segment called Rapid Reel, which is just kind of quick, light, and instinctively whatever comes to you for these ones. So for the first one, what's just a little thing that brings you joy instantly?
Walking every morning.
That's good.
Yep.
Something that people might not expect about you.
They have no idea how empathetic I am, how much I feel joy or hurt or pain on others' behalf.
What does it feel? What feels like home to you?
Walking with my dog. When I'm outside, that's where I feel most at ease and at home, and that's where I pray the most. And yeah, it's that walking, being out in nature.
Yes. A moment you followed a nudge that didn't make sense to you at first, but worked out.
Giving nuggets of hope to people.
And the last one.
I thought that. I fought it.
Yes. That's see, walking your path doesn't leave you, right? No matter what, it's going to get you back on it. No matter what, God, the universe is going to keep nudging you back until you listen. So you might as well follow that nudge. This is the last one. What does being yourself feel like?
It feels lighter. Because I think for a long time, and for many of us, especially women, you lose sight of yourself. You lose the grasp of who you are over the years because you're a wife or a mom or whatever, and you're working and you're doing this and doing that and constant. And then all of a sudden you're like, it's you're an empty nester or however the case may be. And you're like, oh, wow, wait, Kim, who's she? You know, yeah. I don't think I answered your question. What was the question?
You did. You said it felt lighter. It says, what does being yourself feel like? And it does, yeah.
I don't feel like I have the weight of everybody else's expectations on me anymore.
Yep.
I only carry my own.
Yep. Wonderful.
And that's very freeing and lightening.
It is. Well, before we get to the final question, is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you wanted to get to? And then also, how can folks connect with you? We'll also share that when I put out the podcast.
You can find, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did. I know. I just want to give you, if there's anything else you wanted to get to, we didn't touch on.
Actually, no. I'll probably think of something 10 minutes later, but no, I'm good right now. But folks can find me at the easiest place is just to go to my website, which is kimlenglingauthor.com. So my podcast is on there. My books are on there. You can meet Dexter, my office manager. He's on there too. Sign up for my newsletter. That's always fun and appreciated. I'm also on Substack. I started Substack. I only have a few on there. But I started that, something different where I'm writing things outside of what I normally do, and I'm just putting them on there. So that's under just, I think, K Lengling on Substack. And all my books are on Amazon. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kim, we will have to I'll have to connect offline with Substack. I'm launching mine next week along with our rebrand and all that fun stuff. I'm so excited, but I'm brand new to Substack. So I'll be excited to follow along with you.
I do too. I don't know what I'm doing, but
me either, but we'll learn through this. We'll figure it out together. So excited to find you there. Thank you so much for being here today. I just love talking to you. It was fun and thoughtful and refreshing and so appreciative of you. And for everybody listening, thank you so much for joining us. If something resonated, here are just a few ways that you can bring some of the things we talked about into your own life. First, start noticing. Pay attention to the small nudges you feel throughout the day, the little things throughout your day that light you up, that feel exciting in your body. Write them down. That's the second one. As we talked about, these little phrases, I noticed some people that haven't done this with the little phrases, it can kind of feel a little corny, a little bit like, a little bit like BS. But I promise you, if some little phrase is going through your mind and lighting you up, writing it down and being able to look at it is huge, especially on the days that you're feeling that gray and loneliness. Being able to see that phrase can be so helpful. And third, give yourself permission to be different. You don't have to make sense to everybody else. You don't have to make sense to anybody else. Just be fully yourself. Kim, thank you again for your energy and your perspective. Until next time, everybody, stay messy.